Well, hey, beautiful. Welcome to Beauty Beyond Betrayal podcast. It is your host, Lisa Limehouse, and today I have the most special guest that I will ever have on this podcast.
Got that right.
My husband.
She finally got me in the hot seat.
It's going to be an interesting ride on this podcast. And so this probably will be a two-parter.
So?
I think so. I think it's going to be a two-parter. Why? Well, we've come to share our story. A lot of you have just reached out and said, we would love to hear from both of you. We would love to hear your story, what it was like to go from devastation to actual breakthrough, to where God redeemed your story. And we've seen you together. What is it really like between the two of you? Is it as good as you say it is, Lisa? So we're going to share that with you today. So we're going to be raw, real, vulnerable. And I know he's nervous. So y'all, he's nervous.
I'm not good at this kind of speaking, but it's coming from my heart what's going to be said and talked about.
Exactly. And we really want to share this because we want to give all the couples who are hearing this hope that we serve a resurrecting God. We serve a God who is the God of the impossible. We serve one who can take something that is absolutely dead because of betrayal, and he can breathe life back into you as a couple, and you can actually be a better couple on the other side. Like, your marriage can be better. It can be a 2.0 version, so to speak, right? Yeah. So that's what we're going to share with you today. So we're going to kind of get started. We're going to go back and forth, but we're going to kind of share our story. So honey, I'll kind of get us started off.
Okay.
So back in 2019, we started drifting apart. We started having some difficulties, and Britt was actually Ubering during that time. And unbeknownst to me, he had started to get involved with a woman, and he'll share with that in just a little while. He got involved with a woman at work, and through that, our relationship began to really suffer. And we still had good times together. We still were married. We still were doing normal things. And for me, I thought, we're just in a cycle. We're just at a struggle right now. And things were, just kind of moving along. But at the end of 2019, on that New Year's Eve of 2019, Britt chose to Uber. Now, why is that significant? Well, for us, New Year's Eve is a very significant day. That's the day that he and I met for the very first time in person. We had never been apart on New Year's Eve. Ever since that first night, we always spent it together. But that New Year's Eve, he decided he was going to Uber. And I'll never forget, I remember he was getting ready to leave the house, and I looked at him and I said, if you choose to do this, we won't be together next year. Now, I had no clue that that was like a prophecy coming out of my mouth. I had no clue. But at that point, it was almost like God was just kind of relaying what was going to take place. So he Ubered that night, and I spent New Year's Eve alone. And I remember crying and going, God, I don't understand. I just don't know. So fast forward to January the 12th, I was in our bedroom. I was coming out of the bathroom into the bedroom, and I heard the Lord speak to my heart. And I heard him say, Britt has broken his vows. And I will tell you, at that moment, I grabbed my gut and I thought, this can't be God. There's no way. Like, not Britt, like, not my husband. Like, there is no way my knight in shining armor would do this to me. There's no way. But I knew that still small voice, and I knew the Holy Spirit. So that's when I started to really search and search and search and do some searchings. But during that time, things got really, really bad between us in that January and February because, and this was 2020, because in February, the Lord told me, go back to work. And I had a home business with my daughter, but the Lord was telling me to go back in the corporate realm, dentistry. And I had no clue why, but I knew that still small voice. And so I told Britt that I was going back to work, and we were fighting. It was bad. And I even wrote him a letter and told him, I guess it's time for me to leave. And at that point, you were not at a good place. You were so involved with her that you were like, fine, just leave. So I'm gonna kind of stop right there, and I'm gonna let you kind of back up and talk about kind of how your life kind of spiraled at that job where you met her.
Yeah, this is going to be tough because, it really eats me alive today. What I put her through. It's nothing that she had done caused me to have an affair. And, I was just in between pretty much leaving an 18-year job and going to another place where, it was just a lot of chaos, a lot of young people, bad influences. And, I just kind of got involved with, the wrong kind of people at this job. And, each day it was like I was just doing something sinful that, wasn't me. And it just continued on and on. I just started, not sharing with Lisa everything that was going on with me at this job. And I just get home, shower, get in the car and go Uber 5 times, throughout the week. And it got to where, I just wanted to stay gone. It was like a connection between us had kind of just stopped. We would speak, we would talk somewhat, but I was hiding things from my wife that ordinary you wouldn't do. Everything was going fine, but in the back of my mind, the devil was just messing with me. Keep doing what you're doing, you're going to be okay. She's not going to find out anything. So I kind of continued down that wrong path. And this woman I met, she was part of another company that would come where I worked, and that's how I got to meet her. And from just talking to her on the job, started talking to her, texting, very seldom on the phone because I would think of Lisa's gonna find out, because I know you can backtrack on phone calls and texts and all that. But I just kept doing things behind her back, little by little, talking to this person more and more. And when I would go out to Uber at nights, I would go do a few hours of it, then meet up with this person. And I wasn't thinking about what I was doing to my marriage. And I would just continue to live that sinful life of just satisfying my needs, the desires of someone else, somebody new that came into my life that, it's like when you meet a new person, how you kind of get attracted. and you just want to be around that person. You want to continue to have conversations. So it continued to get deeper. I got deeper and deeper involved with her, and sitting here right now, you know, just talking about it. I know that's the best thing to do. That you know everything's out in the open, but knowing today what I've put her through, thank God my life is still with her, that she didn't want to leave and be done with us. Being the godly woman she is, I think that was the key to her, staying, with me, just to be able to work through it with the Lord, because that's your only hope. I'm speaking to you men and, to the women, that, the Lord, it has to be centered of
Absolutely.
your life, your relationship. And, I'm a child of God. I've been since I was in my 30s. And, just, sharing this today, it's hard, because I know it still affects her. It bothered her the other day. Just a feeling came over her. And, she let me know about it. And I just had to reassure her that, there's nothing going on in my life today of, wanting to do something that's going to hurt us. Because I know it won't be a second chance. I know us working through, this betrayal that I caused, and us working to save our marriage. It's been a long road. It's nothing easy, fellas. But it's how bad you want your spouse,
That's right.
the woman that the Lord brought into your life. Because, I've been married twice. This is my third go around. And, my first marriage, 20 years. And on the other side, I was cheated on. And it was devastating.
And you never thought you would do that
No, because
because of what you went through.
yeah. And the hardest part of that was my kids being so young, 10 and 5. And them having to leave the home was really the hardest part. But that's just the way that situation worked out.
Yeah.
But I was always there for them, which, that's how I was brought up. And I just learned from my mother and father that, you got to be there for your family.
That's right.
So, I had that past that, I don't blame that on what I did,
Right.
with us, with me cheating on her.
You did bring up a good point though that I just want to interject with, is you made the statement that when you were working at that job that you got pulled in, you were with a bad crowd, and you were, you became influenced and you got sucked into that. And the devil can really, now we don't blame the devil. You can't, there is a portion of responsibility you hear him take. But there's also the spiritual side. And you hear me talk about this on the broadcast all the time. There's a flesh side and there's a spiritual side. And so, you kind of got sucked into that and you got wrapped up into that. And the more you were walking in that sinful nature, the further you got away from God, the further we got away from one another.
Mhm.
And again, like he said, he wasn't thinking about the ramifications in my life. because that's what happens when you are the betrayer and when you are walking in that kind of sin. You know, the devil's going to cloud your mind. He is going to cloud you to reality so that he's like, it's all about you. And he's not going to even let you think about the ripple effect of what it's doing to other people. And I'm glad you brought that up because it's a point that needs to be talked about, you know, that it is a ripple effect. It does affect everyone.
Mhm.
And so, you know, when that February came, I started packing boxes because I knew he still had not. I had asked him, "Are you seeing somebody?" And he would look at me and go, "No, you must be, because you're saying something." And that's the blame shift, right? You've heard me talk about that, but that's to cover it up. So the more I just really started praying, God, bring truth into light, bring it into light. And the end of March, I heard the Lord speak to my heart, and I heard him tell me, check the phone records, just what he was afraid that I would do, right? And I checked and I found this reoccurring phone number. And I started going back in history, and I realized that that phone number started in October of 2018. And it had just increased over time. So I knew it had been a long-term affair. So that's when I decided to reach out to someone for help and said, okay, look, I need concrete evidence of what's going on. I need someone to help me find this. And so April 3rd of 2020, he had gone to work. And I was sitting at my dining room table. I had done my devotional, my prayer time, and all of a sudden I get a phone call. Lisa, you've got an email with everything you've asked for. Are you sure you want to open it? And I knew by that statement that it was what I had thought, that it was actually an affair. So I said thank you, hung up the phone, pulled up my email, and I kid you not, for an hour, I I just literally would sit down in front of the computer. I would go to push the button, and then I would get up and I'd walk away, and I would go back and forth for about an hour in the anxiety that I felt. And finally, I pushed the button. And when I did, there was all of the Facebook messages, there were all of these things, conversations between him and her. And I remember feeling like the entire room was just gonna swallow me alive. It was like the room was blackening and just everything was caving in. And I felt like a caged animal is what I felt like. And I just was devastated. I was like, this has got to be a nightmare that I need to wake up from. This can't be my husband doing that. No way. And it wasn't long after I opened that email, because he called me every day around lunchtime, still, that he called me. Now, we weren't in a good frame. He was just checking in, but he called to ask me a question. And it was just short and to the point, and I acted like nothing was going on. I acted normal. And after we hung up, I picked up my computer, my phone, everything, and I had to get out of the house. I had to leave because I felt like I was going to suffocate. And I drove and I called some friends of mine who are pastors. And I said, I just found out this news. I need someone to pray me through this. And this couple sat on the phone with me for a couple of hours, praying and praying and praying for me. He had no clue that I knew. And then later on that afternoon, he had been home for a little while. He was outside in the yard with his son and his son's wife, and they were talking. And I got out of the car and I came up to him, and they excused themselves. And I just took my phone and I just handed him my phone and said, "Do you want to explain this?" And your first reaction was you were mad.
Yeah, I kind of fell into a drinking thing, which that's not me at all.
That goes along with it.
You
You've
know,
heard me talk about that.
that's not me.
It's not him.
I'll have a beer or a drink here or there, but this was every day,
Yeah.
And once she found out, it really, when she showed me that day, I had a few in me. I, you know, wasn't in the right frame of
Yeah,
mind, but it really didn't bother me at that time, to where I was going to fall on my knees and ask for forgiveness. It was like, well, she found out now, so I don't have to hide it no more.
Yeah.
You know, you know, in my mind, it wasn't like I was going to beg her to forgive me and let's get help and move forward to save our marriage. It was like, I was in that sinful mind of, I'm not going to stop.
As a matter of
She
fact,
knows, why stop?
yeah. And as a matter of fact, we had it was almost an all-nighter. The screaming and yelling and
Yeah.
just the carrying on back and forth. And at one point, I looked at him that day and I said, "Just call her up. Stop the affair. We can go to counseling. We can save our marriage, whatever." And he actually looked at me and said, "I can't." That's how deep he was in that. And it had sucked him in. Like he said, the drinking and all of it, it goes together.
There's no excuses, with doing those things. I was just in a state of mind of there's another woman that's showing me attention, and she never stopped. It was just sin that just come over me of pursuing this person. The more I heard her talk good about me, I just kept diving deeper and deeper in that relationship. And that day that she packed up and left, it did hurt me, you know.
That was an awful day.
I was
left.
clear-minded,
Yeah.
No alcohol in me or anything like that. And I cried my eyes out when I seen that car just leave Limehouse Lane, and you know, yeah, I was sinning, but I still would pray and ask God, please help me, Lord, get through this. And then something would come up to where I started thinking, call her, try to see her, and make things feel better for you. And, I was still trying to hide the things of the phone conversations. You know, she was going through a separation, and it seemed like we were kind of just helping each other through that situation, which that was the wrong thing to do.
Yeah.
Not a man and a woman that's going through marital problems.
Yeah.
So, she knew all that was going on with us, and it got to where it was quite regular that I was talking to this person still.
Especially after I moved out, because I moved out July 11th of 2020, and I moved into an apartment, and I didn't let him know where it was for a while, because I needed time away, and I moved out because he wouldn't stop seeing her. He would tell me, "Okay, it's over, I'm gonna stop," and then he'd go back, and then you know, I'd find out. And so this was a perpetual cycle. So I was like, I can't do this anymore. I've got to distance myself. This is just traumatizing me over and over again. And it's just killing my heart every time you do this to me. So I've got to leave. And so when I moved out, like he said, that day, I remember driving away thinking to myself, this is it. I'll never be back. Our marriage is over. I'm done. Like, and it wrecked me because I love this man. I never stopped loving him. And walking away was the hardest thing that I ever did. But I knew in my heart that I had to do it. And alone in that apartment, I'd get on my floor, I would cry, I would beg God, do whatever you need to do. And after a while, I got to where the only prayer that I could pray for him, because I didn't know how to pray. Because every time I turned around, when I did allow him to talk to me, he would break my heart again and go back to her. After a while, all I would do is I would say, God, whatever you need to do to get him right with you, whatever you need to do to save his soul, do that. It doesn't matter if we work or not, but please reconcile him to yourself. Do whatever you need to do, God. And that became my standard prayer for him. That was my standard prayer. And so we literally, you know, I lived there for a year. And during the holiday season, which we're coming up on, you know, we even took a trip October. We started seeing each other. He swore to me that it was over. And I actually invited him to go with me to a weekend trip to the mountains that October. We were still separated. And I had not seen anything in a few weeks. So I thought, okay, maybe this is it. So we go on this trip.
You were marrying somebody
I was
weekend
performing,
too.
yeah,
So
I was performing a wedding ceremony, and right before the wedding ceremony, he had a ding on his phone and I picked it up, and there was all of this stuff. He was still in conversation and seeing her. And I will tell you, it just crushed me all over again. And this went on between us. You went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth until March of 2021. And in March of 2021, I had gotten to a point to where I was just so, I was so traumatized by it all and worn out that my body shut down. And I ended up in the hospital for a 4-day stay in a cardiac unit because my adrenal shut down, my thyroid shut down, my heart was stressed. And the doctors ended up putting me on an 8-week bed rest because the stress of it all had just taken its toll. And you knew that I was in the hospital and you came.
yeah, I knew I needed to be there for her because I still loved her. And when I heard from her sister that she was taking her to the emergency room, I knew I had to be there. I wanted to be there. And it was like everything that was going on in this relationship, one that I shouldn't have been in, that when I found out she was in the hospital, it was like my whole world was kind of crumbling because I still loved her. You know, I felt it in my heart, you know. And, you know, I went there and I stayed with her there and got her back home. I stayed with her for a week, you know.
Taking care of me, yeah.
And I told her I'm not talked to that person, you know, that whole entire time. And that was the truth. I did have texts on my phone, but I didn't go there. I should have been open and honest to show her that, but I didn't.
But I ended up finding out.
Oh yeah,
And
because she would periodically
yeah,
search,
yeah.
my phone and the text that was coming through and all, and later on after she got well, and I would go over to her apartment sometimes. There were still things going on with this person. I had switched jobs, but still was able to be in contact with her. And, it got to where I wanted to see the person. It was like a month past, and I found ways to meet up with her. And that lasted, I don't remember all the dates good
Yeah.
as you do, but it did continue on. And
That's when
it
I
didn't
had.
bother me really,
Mhm.
even when I would come home and be here by myself, talking to my sisters, because they were there for me. They knew all that I was doing, and
Mhm.
they're Christian sisters, which I love them to death. And they were talking to me, which you know you're not doing right. God's, he don't want marriages to be this way.
That's right.
And I would listen, but I wouldn't,
Stop.
really stop doing what I was doing. So, that lasted for months.
And
And
then
then
I
when
found
you
out.
called me that day, tell them about that.
Yeah.
Really kind of just woke me up out of
Yeah.
this. It was like, it was just a bad dream. It seems like that I was going through. Because like I said, I've never done that, never cheated on the other
Mm-mm.
wives I
Mm-mm.
had. When I met her, I know it was a God sent, because I had just went through my year of that, waiting for the divorce papers to be filed and all. And right after that, I met her. And it was just, I know God sent her to me with her background of being a Christian for so many years and ministry she was in. Um, I felt the love the night we first met. And boy, that's all I was thinking about was her. And, you know, knowing that there was that chance of losing that we had, knowing that it could always be rebuilt for what I had done. And, you know, tell them what took place
So
before.
when I found out that he kept going back again after the hospital stay and everything that had happened, he went back to her again. I said, I can't allow this to kill me. So I went and I hired an attorney and I filed for divorce. And my attorney had gotten a court date and told me to give him a call and let him know that he was going to be served the next day at work. So I called him and I told him, and I'll never forget when I said, I just wanted to let you know I filed for divorce and you're going to be served tomorrow. There was complete, utter silence on the phone for a few moments. And then all I heard was, please don't do this. And my knee gut reaction was, I can't help but do this. I can't do this anymore. I can't be second fiddle. I can't continue to live this way. Something has to give. So I can love you from afar, but I can't be with you. So what he said at that point was, please give me 30 days. And I remember at first thinking, why would I give you 30 days? I've given you a year and a half. Why would I do this? But he kept on and said, give me 30 days. I don't want this. And so I told him, I'll have to see. I never said yes. All I said was, we'll see. And I remember calling my attorney the next morning and she thought I was nuts. She was like, what are you doing? Like, don't do this, Lisa. But I told her, just hold on for 30 days. What is it going to hurt? Just hold on for 30 days. And I kid you not, like, he made the phone call to the pastoral counselors. He did this. Like, he took the steps. Some of the things that I required, like, you've got to change your phone number, like you've got to find a new job, like you've got to do these things. He started doing those things. Like, I couldn't believe a word he said. And you hear me on this broadcast say all the time, don't believe a word they say, believe their actions. He started taking steps. Like, he started doing it. And I still didn't move home until late that summer. But I would watch, and he would literally. And then we decided we were going to invest in us. We were going to do some sessions together. We did some sessions. We threw ourselves into a group at church. We started doing, just really investing. If we're going to do this, we're going to rebuild. We're going to rebuild. And so we started rebuilding while we were separated. And that's important for you to hear, because a lot of you think, well, I can't rebuild unless we are together. That's not true. You can rebuild while you're separated because you can do the things. If you want it bad enough, he wanted his heart to change. Number one, because he didn't like the man who he was. And you've heard him say that. He wanted his heart right with God first. And that has to happen first. Because you can try to change your behavior all you want to. He tried that. It didn't work. But when he allowed God to get a hold of his heart, that's when I saw his heart change.
Yeah, placing myself away from that crowd that I was working with.
Yeah.
That was the key, because these people were just, they didn't want to work. They just wanted to have a good time. And hearing the talking languages, I started feeling myself do the same thing. And when I got out of that, and that day that she told me that she filed for a divorce, that just, it's like the Lord flipped a switch in my mind, and I'll never forget it. And I just started boohooing on the phone. Please don't do this. Give me a chance, and I'll stop it with this person and do whatever you ask. And guys, you gotta, if you want to save your marriage, you got to open up, share it all, with your spouse. Just don't do the things that she won't get upset over, because she needs to hear
Everything.
Yeah. And
no matter how much it hurts, truth is always better.
It is. And I think it hurt me more to have to say all the things that me and this person had done, because it wasn't with her what I was doing with this person. And but you got to be open, you got to be upfront. And that's where what helped me was talking to some Christian brothers. I really never had like a single Christian brother that I could always pick up a phone and say, hey dude, I'm struggling, please help me, talk me through what I'm dealing with. But that happened to me to where I could lean on some fellas at our church. And like she said, we got into a couples group
Yeah.
that really helped us, opened up our eyes to a vision that we wanted to share, down the road. And so, we have all that we can look forward to. And, you know, it's not going to be easy.
It's
You
never,
know,
never easy.
Whoever's dealing with it now, it's hard.
And
You
it
gotta
was
have a lot
hard
of
work.
tears, a lot of wiping eyes, and runny
It-
nose,
runny nose,
but
it's hard.
at the end, it's going to be worth it.
Yeah.
And if you feel yourself sliding back, because we're all human.
And that's a part of that
And
detox you've got to go through.
that's right. And then your mind is a weapon.
Yes.
It can.
Yes.
You can start thinking these thoughts. Do I still think of this person? My mind sometimes will go there, and she knows that.
Mm-hmm.
And when she tells me that she's thinking of things that we had done together, me and this person today, and just hearing her say that, it just tears my heart apart. That it's like the scar's gonna be there, and it's just like she's occasionally gonna think, you know if I might be acting strange or something around the house, or a distance from her. She thinks that, is he talking to her or someone else, and she felt that way the other week, and
Well, we
she
talked
did
about
talk to me
it. Yeah.
about it, and boy, we
Yeah.
settled it right then.
Yeah. And that's the
know.
important thing is you've got to be open with each other and recognize that when you start the reconciliation process, the one who's betrayed is working through triggers, you're working through the ruminating thoughts that you battle, you're working through rebuilding trust, you're walking through that journey of forgiveness for the betrayer, for the one who has been the betrayer. You're walking through the detox of a relationship or sexual addiction that you were involved in. You're having to detox from that lifestyle and reformulate yourself to the marriage that you want to maintain, that you want to rebuild, that you don't want to lose. So you're having to fight a dual battle as well. Both sides have to do recovery work in order for you to be able to move forward, and in order for your marriage to be healed. Now, when we started working on us, the day I moved home, like, that was a celebration. Like, that was huge for us. And it was like, but I will tell you that for me, moving back into my home, there were some difficult points because she had been to the home. So what we did is we wanted God to restore our home. We went through our entire home and we wrote scriptures on every wall in this house.
Whatever worked.
Well, and we painted the scriptures into the walls, and we prayed, and we rededicated our home to God, and our land and everything to God, and moved forward together and started working really hard. Now, just like he said, in all honesty, was it a bed of roses when I moved home? No, we still had work to do. We still work on us. Like, we still work on us because we are worth it. But I will tell you, because we dove in, because we worked hard, last October 20th was our 10th anniversary. And I know many of you have heard me talk about, can you redeem anniversary dates? Can you redeem those things? If you choose to, you can. We talked about, okay, I moved home July the 29th. Should we make that our new anniversary? But we were like, no, the devil stole or tried to steal everything from us. We're not going to let him steal that. So we decided to renew our vows.
Best thing we could have done, love.
It was. It was the best thing that we could have done. So we renewed our vows October 20th last year, for our 10th anniversary. And it was us on the beach. And it was the most beautiful thing. And we remade covenant with each other. And we vowed that what the devil tried to use against us, we would turn around and we would use it against him. And that's what we've been doing.
Yeah. You know, it's like we said, it's work. You know, everything's work, but you know, you got to work at your marriage. Always talk. You know, that's something I didn't do much of in my previous,
Yeah.
but she talks. A good talker, you know, she makes sure that I, get things out and share what's ever on my mind, what's going on. You know, we try to sit down every afternoon when I get home from work.
Yeah.
I walk right in this office and
Right here.
you turn around long enough before she has her next session to talk to me, about everything that's going on. And that's a key of just taking a few minutes every day, not every other day.
That's right.
Yeah, life's busy, but you better take time for
Each
you
other.
and your spouse.
Yeah.
And we do that. We were deeply in doing devotions together, in the past, and that kind of fell wayside, but we still do our own,
Yeah.
throughout part of the day, but that's something that we talked that we want to get back
Yeah.
in doing is doing a devotion together.
That's important because
And just a little something on, the marriage.
Yeah.
Find a scripture of, what God intended for the marriage to be.
Yeah.
And just be able to share that and try to live it.
Yeah.
We do date nights quite a bit.
And we do not talk about household things.
No.
We do not talk about problems on date nights, anything. Like date nights are date nights for us.
Mhm.
Like we dream, we giggle, we enjoy each other. Like date nights are date nights.
Mhm.
Now, one of the things that we do sit down and we talk about, deeper things, not on a date night. We'll choose another day to do stuff like that. Those are important. And, one of the things we've got to do, honey, I've had a few people ask, is to do a video on our knee to knees, because people are like, can you show us how to do the knee to knees? We'll have to do that and share that on a broadcast. But
We can do it.
but I will tell you, are we perfect in our marriage? No, we're not. But do we have a better marriage than we did before the betrayal? I believe we do.
I do. It took a little while to get back to, the way, we looked at it at the beginning of our,
Yeah.
relationship, how we were just on fire for each other and
Yeah.
couldn't stop texting and just saying, I love you. And, we're at that point now that, God, we just want to be together.
Yeah.
This past weekend, we were supposed to be out of town. And I was off Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and tomorrow. And we've just been sitting on the porch in the mornings, drinking our coffee and just talking, sharing dreams, because, we've got a lot going on in our lives
Yeah.
with our home and, the property that we have. We're going to be selling it all and relocating in the same area, but we're going to just
Revamping our life.
revamping, have our own place that we can say we had built, or just a
Yeah.
new home to move in.
Yeah, that's ours exclusively.
Yeah. So, just, got kind of spoiled because I don't want to go back to work Tuesday. We're kind of working on that to get to where I can be
Yes.
home more often.
Yeah, and he
And
will
might
be.
be doing more of this,
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure.
so just helping other couples.
Yeah.
Because, I'm not a good speaker. I'm a good listener. I do.
He has
There's
some wisdom
winners out
nuggets.
there, yeah.
Yeah, he has wisdom nuggets for sure.
So, man, if you're gonna listen to this,
Yeah,
I can share with, what I know, might say a word
works.
that can help
What works? Yeah.
help you guys or couples. We can do it together.
Yeah. So let me just share this. Like I said, we have a 2.0 relationship. God is a redeeming God. He can change your story like he changed ours. But you have to dig in and you have to do the hard work. You can't just think that it's going to go away and you're going to sweep it under the rug and it's never going to bother you, that you can, forget about it and move on. That's not how this works. You have to address it. You have to speak truth. And you have to be willing to look it square in the face and say, this really happened to us. Now, what are we going to do about it? And you notice I said we, because it takes we. It really does. You both have to be willing to dig in and to really do the hard work. And when you do, God will meet you there, just like he did us. He will restore you, he will refine you, and he will give you that second chance. You will have a new covenant with one another. You can do this. So, honey, if there's anything that you could say to any of the men that are listening, that are like, this is just so hard. And, when is my wife going to get over it? And why can't she just, get on with it and not, why does she ask me so many questions? All the things that I hear, right? What would you say to them?
You got to be in a situation to feel how she's feeling, be in her shoes. You brought this on, if it was a situation to where you cheated on your spouse, you got to stand up and you got to take the blame for all that's happened, how she's feeling. Yeah, you stood up, you told her that you've had this affair and you're sorry, but sorry don't cut it. You got to show actions, like she said. You got to take the action steps. Whatever she's asking, you better try to do it. Let her see you're doing it. Do it faithfully. Just don't, oh, I don't think I'm going to be able to do this. You did other things that you shouldn't have done. This is something you should do. If you want to save it with your wife, is she that important to you? Do you want to work it out with her? Sit down, listen, don't say too much. Just hear what she has to say.
And step into the hurt with her.
Oh yeah,
he does that with me.
You hurt too, I'm sure. I hurt now because I'm gonna say recovered from that addiction I had, but it still hurts me today now that it still affects her. Sometimes I can I can see it sometimes. I can feel a distance between us. But that's where you need to draw closer to her, you know, in the moment of, you can see her down and out, one or two words, you won't know what it'll make her feel, how it will make her feel. So, you know, say little, listen a lot at the beginning, you know,
Yeah.
because you want to hear how she's feeling. Yeah, you've heard a lot of anger coming out of her, but that's normal,
Yeah.
you know,
It is.
when you're going through all that mess. And but when you sitting down like we're doing now, wanting to work it out, ask her how you can make it right, make it better. Take notes, man, because my mind is I just turned 63. So my mind is kind of, you know, out there a lot, but you know,
That's good stuff, baby.
yeah, I just try to make her feel important again,
Yeah.
you know,
And he does.
and
And he does.
just tell her you love her
Always remind her.
more than once.
Yes.
I love to tell her that in the mornings when I get to work before I go in.
Every day, a text
I'll
message
throw
on my
that
phone.
text, man.
Every
Let
day.
her know how important she is, how you want her day to go, that you're praying for, you know, because you don't know how that makes her feel and how you're going to be treated when you get home.
Hey, if you want heaven at 11, you start at 7 a.m. Okay.
That's right. That's a good saying. But
So
you know, just fellas, yeah, it's a hard road, but that road does get easier.
it
I
does.
promise you that. I never thought it would. I thought there was always going to be just turmoil. You keep bringing this up. Why you keep bringing this up? Why don't you lay it to rest? Because she's not ready. She hasn't gotten to that point of knowing that you've fully recommitted to her.
He's
You
a
know,
wise man, lady.
yeah, the
Listen,
Lord is really
he's
speaking to me to speak.
a wise
Yeah,
man, I'm
but
telling you.
this is truth, you know, because I've had people talk to me about it. You know, you got to listen. You got
Yeah.
to feel her vibes of how she's feeling.
Yeah.
And ask questions. You know, don't insinuate, and just
That's
ask
right.
her, you know, how you feeling, or you know, how can I make it better? So guys, just you got to work at it.
Lots of wisdom
You got
there.
to work at it.
So for the women, the ones who have been betrayed, let me speak to you really quick. I know that you may be at a point where you're like, how can I forgive him for what he's done? This is the worst thing that my husband could ever do to me. How can I forgive and forget? First off, you can't forget. You never will forget because you're not God. You can't forget. Can you forgive? Yes, but it's a journey. And it's layer by layer by layer. One minute you're going to forgive him for having the affair. The next minute you're going to forgive him for going down the street and meeting her at a certain place. One minute you're going to forgive him for using finances to go and do this. It's layer by layer. But you can forgive. Forgiveness sets you free from the bondage of the betrayal. Number two, can you rebuild trust? 100%. I trust this man and he holds my heart. Nobody but him holds my heart. That's it right there. I trust him 100%. And I have you ladies all the time go, how can you trust him again after this? Because he showed me. Everything he just said to those men, he did. He showed me. So yes, you can rebuild trust. And I trust him 100%. I never worry. I trust him. And he holds 100% of my heart. It's his 100%. You can get there.
You can't.
You've just got to do the work. And if you are floundering, saying, how can we do this? you have the opportunity to have a free consult with me to where we can get on Google Meets, Zoom, whatever, and we can talk about your journey. We can talk about where you are as a couple and design a plan to get you there. I have a 94% success rate with my couples. And the Marriage Redesigned program, which was designed by God, will take you step by step to rebuild your marriage into a 2.0, a better relationship, just like we have. And at the end of that program, or in the middle, wherever you desire, you have that opportunity to have an intensive weekend in Charleston, South Carolina with us, where we breathe life into you 2 days straight. We speak truth, wisdom. We have a tried and true program. We solidify it all. It's all a part of that Marriage Redesigned program. If you want to find out more, in the show notes, grab your consult. Let's talk about it. Let's design this for y'all.
It can be done. You
Yeah.
know, it's just working together
Yeah.
to that end of knowing that y'all have rekindled. You
Yeah.
got a spark going again. You feeling that new connection again that
Yeah.
you did day one. And guys, you know, I'm here now that I'm sharing my story,
Yeah.
our story. I'm here to chat. You know, it don't have to be through text.
Oh, no.
I'd rather do a
Yeah.
Zoom or something, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
just to be able to talking to someone I like to
Face
see
to
face to
face.
face, get
Yeah.
to know you.
Yeah.
You know, I'm here.
Yep.
I'm a good listener. I can give you some pointers, hopefully. Tell you
Yep.
it can get better. You just got to work towards it.
That's
You
right.
got to have that Christian
Viewpoint.
You got to have a counterpart. You got
That's
to
right.
have a godly man. If you don't have one,
That's right.
just be there, listen,
Help guide you
share
along the way.
share with you some pointers that I went through or that someone's shared with me, you know, to use that
Yeah.
to help myself to be who I need to be for her.
Yeah.
So,
So reach out. We'd love to talk to you. Love to get you started on the same journey. Thank you for listening to our story. I know that Britt's the same with me. We pray that our story brings you hope, that it encourages you, and it reminds you that God is the God of the impossible, and that He can take something so broken, so demolished that it's in this heap of ashes, and He can breathe beauty into it so that there is beauty beyond betrayal. We love you. We
Nice.
appreciate you so much. Thank you for
say a
listening.
prayer.
Yeah.
Let me say a prayer.
Oh, that would be beautiful.
Pray for all of us. Father, we just thank you for this time that we have, that we can just sit down this morning and, you know, speak to couples, to individual spouses, just to help give you encouragement that there is hope. Don't think that what's been done can't be fixed. It can be, through Christian brothers and sisters. There's help out there. You just got to want it. Put pride aside, like I've had to do, and just pick up that phone. Just reach out for help. Because there is, and my wife and I can help couples. We can do it that way too. Lord's got the door wide open. Just let Him work in all of us. To restore these marriages, Lord, that we can just be a couple that can be there for others and just speak truth. You know, we're there for everyone, Lord. We just thank you that you placed us here, that there is hope for everyone in their marriage that's struggling, Lord. So we just thank you for opportunities you're placing in front of us, Lord. We love you and we just thank you for this day and just pray you continue to bless us all in your name. Amen.
Again, thank you for listening to Beauty Beyond Betrayal. Look for this man more, especially on our marriage redesign segments. It's going to be sprinkled in here and there. Can't wait to share more with you. But thank you so much. And honey, thank you.
Thank you too, love.
Mwah!
I love you.
I love you too. Bye, y'all.
Talk to y'all soon.
Bye.